It's Saturday. It is Tech Advisor Arizuki's birthday. So I got up early with the kid, and I've been more or less taking care of her all day, probably into the evening. Did little birthday part one stuff with some presents, and then we're going to have, she didn't want cake, so we're going to pie later and everything. The child, for the third day in a row, has done, she's potty trained, but like semi-recently, meaning, it's been months, but, so there's still sometimes an accident, but not the kind of accident like, oops, I peed my pants a little bit. Accidents like I made it to the bathroom, I pulled down my pants, and I peed everywhere, which is kind of worse than peeing in her pants. And that's happened a few times, but also she tends to sit on the toilet, if not unsupervised, and just like unroll an entire roll of toilet paper, like a big Mega Man blaster, and or put it all down the toilet. So the toilet has been clogged almost constantly. And the new thing for the last 3 days, including today, is some game where toilet paper is put into the water between her legs. Now, this is water that has definitely pee and sometimes poo, and then is either thrown on the floor, wiped on her legs, put elsewhere. It's fantastic. I have to scrub everything down with bleach or give her a bath or give myself a shower. It's great. It just fills me up with energy and positive emotions and the desire to draw and create. Yeah. It is, is this working? Seems to be. Anyway, today is Monday. This weekend was rough. Last weekend was rough. This week, this month, everything's rough, but today has been good. Woke up feeling reasonably well rested and just kind of refreshed. Less burnt out than I had been. Took the kid to soccer. It was our last soccer of the season. And then my mom came over and watched her soccer thing. They actually had me play soccer, which sounds terrible because in her dance class one time, they had mentioned, oh, we'll have the parents participate. But then literally from the beginning to end of the 45-minute class, they had us stretching and dancing and doing all the stuff the dancers did. But we're all middle-aged-ish people, mostly out of shape, wearing clothes that aren't meant for dancing, including my hiking boots. Other people had skirts on or whatever. Nobody was happy about it. And we were all exhausted. It was not a fun thing. And it wasn't really communicated well. And at soccer, like halfway through, they're like, oh, let's get all the dads to come out and play. And which I thought was weird because there were moms there too, but whatever. But it was exactly what it should have been, where for like 5 minutes, the dads and the kids played a game against each other, which was us basically being like, oops, I can't get the ball. Oh, you got it. And it was fun. Anyway, that was more appropriate and enjoyable. It is funny though, because she's been going for like 2 years and that's the first time they ever did that. So I don't know. But then ended up going out to lunch with the kid and my mom, which was nice, and having kind of just a relaxing day. There's a lot of stuff I need to do around the house, other artwork, there's just a ton of stuff I always need to do. And I just didn't worry about any of it. I just relaxed a little bit. And I was able to enjoy having a nice lunch out. And then when I got back, I turned off the monitor. My mom turned on the monitor. I was still home, but I wrapped a present for a kid that we're going to see tonight at this other meeting thing. And I put a thing up on eBay and I don't know, just sort of farted around. And now with about a half hour left, I'm going for a walk. I'm shiny because I put on sunscreen, because now that we're near the end of May, it's sunscreen season here. As soon as I stepped out of my house, I'm like, I'm gonna burn if I just walk around. And I already have color, but I will burn. Anyway, haven't done any art today. Yesterday, I haven't done art in a few days. Yesterday, I tried to just sort of warm up, shake it up, get myself back in the groove. And I was trying to do another one of my original characters. It's this runner character. And I was reminded once again how I'm terrible at anatomy, perspective, foreshadowing, and even just posing. There's a pose where like the leg, one leg out, one leg behind for flying, for running, that I've studied and tried to do forever and still can't do very well. I think what I need to do the next time I have a minute, instead of studying anatomy and things like that, I need to just look at some comic artists that I like, that I think do it correctly, and copy what they do. Not to copy them forever, not to panel swipe or whatever, but just like, I haven't really emulated, studied, looked at, copied artists in a very long time. There's artists I like, but I used to do it all the time, and we all did, and that's how you kind of learn how to draw. And it's like, why am I not, I don't know, I should look at legs and those poses, and it might not fix all my problems and make me understand it completely, but at least I can kind of see what they're doing. And I don't know, it just occurred to me that I'm like banging my head against this wall forever, and maybe I should just find somebody who did it correctly, at least to my eye, and emulate that as best I can and adjust as necessary. Is that all? Oh no, going back to commissions and how I'm not taking commissions other than the 2 that I have outstanding. And I've had somebody I met at a convention that's coming up in a few weeks last year was like, oh, I know you do, commissions and things like that. I'm interested. And I was like, well, I did say that and thanks for asking, but that was a year ago and I'm kind of not doing commissions right now. I'm like, when are you going to start? And I'm like, I don't know. Not till after the summer. Again, it's May. I'm like, let me know and I will. And it's, again, I appreciate that, but it's like, boy, where were all you people when I was struggling to find commissions and really trying to get them, Now people are just like throwing it in my lap. Similarly, one of the sketch card commission people who I'd put off as like, I don't know when I'm gonna have time to do this, came back to me and said, hey, we got a lot less requests, so don't worry about that, but we're up in the number. So there's this potential commission of like, I think he said 19 cards. I said, and I just gave him a thumbs up because I said, I don't know when I'm ready last time. And he's like, let me know when you're ready or if you have any other questions. So I just did a thumbs up because, as I've said to you all, I think I'm done doing sketch cards. I think I'm just gonna, commissions temporarily done, sketch cards permanently done. But I don't need to say that to him right now because it's months off. I might change my mind. I might need the money, whatever. What I'll do is once I open commissions again and at the, after the summer at the earliest, I will decide if I will accept sketch cards because I have several people who want to commission me for sketch cards when I'm open for commissions. And while I've sort of unofficially decided to stop doing that, I don't need to actually decide until that time. And so that's what I'm gonna do. Right now I'm gonna continue my walk and there's a bunch of kids, so I'm gonna stop recording because I don't wanna accidentally record people's children. Tuesday morning, I had to fast and do a little blood test. I just did that. So now I'm going to Rival Coffee to get a coffee and food and try to get a little bit of artwork done. I have maybe an hour and then I gotta get home and gotta talk to my therapist. There's no shame in that. So I did do some drawing, probably close to an hour, but honestly nothing productive. I worked on this image. I did look at some Art Adams stuff, and basically was tracing over this. One of the things I noticed is that I keep trying to get kind of a leg straight out in front. Most of the time people have the bent leg out in front with the knee and then the straight leg behind them. This is an example of the front, but there's a big curve and it's sort of bent back in. This is as close as I saw to like what I was looking for, but I couldn't quite find the reference for what I was looking for, at least in comic artists. I didn't look in real life. And I might be just trying to create something that isn't really natural or used a lot, but I basically just did a lot of tracing here. And then after I did that, I went back to a drawing I had been working on previously, and you can see I sort of started built up. This was going to be my character's speed flag, which is, again, an old OC I don't do anything with. And I got about there, and then I decided to restart here, and it's still awkward. And then I shrunk what I had. This is what I had after practicing the Art Adams tracing stuff. And I sort of refilled it in there. And then I got to that, and I was pretty happy with that. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. That foot is the worst part. And I'm continually learning that hands and feet are my downfall. Like muscles of the back, muscles of the leg, there's things I can improve on, but hands and feet and foreshortening are difficult. So that's where I was. But a lot of it I'm happy with. This doesn't at all push forward any projects I'm working on, but it got me back in the groove of drawing, and it, I guess I do gotta study sometime. Anyway, I'm off to home. There goes the worm. Wormy worm. 10 o'clock Wednesday, I am here at the coffee shop doing some work on the actual piece I need to get done. It's been about 40 minutes turning this from that into this. There needs to be more scale work here, but I'm gonna do that in the inks because this is the quote-unquote pencil. So now I'm gonna move on to this one. Ideally, today, I'd like to be able to get all 6 of those done. But considering that took me 40 minutes, I probably won't be able to. Okay, I'm at about an hour and 20 minutes. It's mildly chilly out. Again, not so cold where I'd normally mind, but it's sort of like, oh, my hands are just a little bit cold because I'm drawing, and I now have to go to the bathroom, pee to be exact. And you needed to know that. No, but like, when you get cold, you have to pee. Anyway, so I'm gonna go inside and use the restroom, and I'm like, should I maybe get another coffee and come and sit out here, warm up and draw a little more, or should I just go home? Leaning towards going home and getting a coffee at home. That's probably the move. I just hope I can maintain this. Well, I did almost an hour and a half. I hope I could do more at home, but if not, whatever, I did this. My computer is full, in the sense that I have gigabytes free, but that means nothing. And it's funny because I remember a time when like I didn't even know what a gigabyte was. Like a megabyte was a big deal. But anyway, part of the reason it's full is because I have a lot of video files and a lot of heavy Photoshop files and things like that I need to move to our like storage area, storage server, whatever you call it. But I can't do that yet because we need to clear out all the old stuff, and I can't do that yet because I need to review all the old stuff, but it was glitching. And so we got this like big heavy USB of everything on that sent to us through the physical mail. So I need to look through that, but I can't do that because I have to open an account and set up a password and do all this other stuff. So I need to set up an account, do in a password, physically install, and then open up this hard drive, verify that I have all the files. Once I do, then we can erase the other one and I can start migrating stuff off, and then my computer will not be so clogged up. Now, why does this matter? When I put my videos together and I try to export them, they keep failing. That's just another thing I got to deal with. I did come home, I did get a bit distracted, but I did do some more work. Sat right here on the bed and worked on the next figure. I didn't time it, but it was some more work. Now I got to go pick the kid up from school. Dun, dun, da, da, da. I find it difficult to draw with chalk on, like I could do like line drawings, but whenever I try to color in, it looks weird. Somebody said to get the chalk wet. I got this. Anyway, this is what we're doing. Okay. Well, while she is in independent play book time, I actually was able to take a shower, and then I did just under an hour working on that Mystic Force Ranger, which ended up being a little bit more difficult one. Still not thrilled with the helmet, but I did my best, and I also hit a really intricate sword that I did, but it's almost done. These bushes are weird because to my eye, they look almost blurry, like they're not rendered in high def. My simulation is glitching. It's Thursday. I had to do extra work, non-art work today, as expected, and tomorrow as well. Yesterday I went to see Transformers, which was nice and a good little break, but I didn't, it's always the thing, like, oh, I tried to keep myself from burning out and therefore did no art. I guess I did some art yesterday though. I did more yesterday than I did today so far. I worked a little bit at gymnastics and like a minute or two when I was visiting my mom. I did just have a caffeinated diet soda like an hour ago. I'm going for a walk now. And my plan is to go home and do some work. But I've also not been feeling physically great, so we'll see how it works out. I'm definitely gonna be awake. And my plan is to use that for good, for art. But I may use it for evil, which is television. Reference. So it's about 10:30. I just spent an hour working on one figure. So I made a few adjustments on the one up here. These are the last three. Well, actually, that's not entirely true, but for now, these are the last three. And so there's a figure in front here, but I wanted to do a draw through and get the whole body set up. And that's kind of what I've been doing with all of these, is like making sure that the pose and everything is right first before I go into the details of the specific character. So I did this, and I hate it. I drew it, redrew it, adjusted it, moved along. It's just stiff. The proportions are weird. It was just like, and every time I'd like, oh, that looks better. And so eventually, I'm going to erase that right now. I stopped doing that and just inked on top. And I'm like, oh, that looks way better. Now, part of it is that I had just drawn the suit and part of the character and stuff, but I just did the parts I needed. That hand is still a little wonky, but I'm going to call that mostly done. But that's an hour. It took me an hour to go from this to this. That's slowness. It's just before 12. I've been here at my coffee shop, ooh, nice flowers, for about 2 hours. Well, I've been here longer than 2 hours. I've been drawing almost nonstop for 2 hours. Kid got up late, we got to school late, I got here late, and it was the busiest it's ever been. I had to wait in line to get my coffee, which I usually don't, and then it took a while for food to come out. Point is, it was about 9:40 by the time I ate and started drawing, but now it's been a little over 2 hours, and I got myself a second coffee. I was feeling tired. It's beautiful out, it's nice and cool. I was feeling tired, and I was like, I'm gonna get another coffee, and I'm just gonna stay here until it's time to pick her up, which I usually don't do. I usually go home. And I thought about going home to go to the bathroom or do whatever, but it's like, it's just a waste of time. So about 2 hours in, I'm gonna keep working for another, 15, 20 minutes and then go pick her up. And I have almost gotten to the end of this phase of the Red Ranger thing. I'm going back and noodling some details that I like, you know, suit emblems and details that I didn't get quite right. And I have, once I finish the one I'm working on, there's one other figure I may add and one other figure that might need a revamp. So basically there's a gun, a blaster, and 2 figures that I need to work on, and then I'm done with this phase. I'll send it to the client, and then I'll start inks. So that's a good place to be going into the weekend, because what I'd like to do is get the inks done by the weekend. I'd like to get it done by the weekend, but I know that's not gonna happen. Next week, I'm going to New Jersey. Worst case scenario, I will be working on it on the plane. And I like to work on the plane, but I also have some comics, including one by a friend of mine that he wanted me to give feedback on before, you know, he went to finals and stuff. And there's stuff I'd like to do on the plane. And of course, with the kid on the plane, who knows if I'll even get to. So the point is, I want to get as much done on this as possible. It was supposed to be done at the beginning of this month. The client was flexible, but I said the end of this month, and now we're in the middle of the month, and I have a trip coming up. So I feel good about the progress I've made today. Yeah. It's 10:30 on Saturday. Got a lot more work done yesterday, and I'm getting work done today. I'm working on that final character that I'm adding. There's still, once I finish this, I'm done with the pencils, but there's definitely errors, and it's just a matter of correcting errors that maybe are imperceptible, that are artistically forgivable, that are only noticeable by me, that, you know, that are subjective as opposed to objective. But I'm going to finish this figure, put it in, and then try to be done for a little bit and do other stuff. Come back to it either later tonight or tomorrow, and then make whatever adjustments I want to make. I talked a big game before about having this done by this weekend. Like, well, here's my thought, is once I get this done, I want to get it locked in, flatten everything, make one layer, because I have like 30 now, and then use that as my pencils. And any minor corrections I want to make in the inks, I do, but I want to have it, if at the very least, if I have it ready to ink on the plane, I won't need any reference, I won't need anything else, you know, I could just be inking and flattening the colors and, you know, beyond. That's like the minimum of where I want to be by the time I get on the plane Thursday. And I think that's a totally achievable goal. I want to be more than that, but that's where, like, if I don't do that, I'm a garbage person. Just watched an interview with Brian Flynn, who is the owner of Super 7, toy company. Doesn't matter. Some people like him, some people don't like him. Some people like the toys, some people don't like the toys. He seems like a nice guy. I like the toys. They're not perfect, but I do like that he is a toy maker. And they make other things too, t-shirts and stuff. But he's as open and honest as he can be about the process of making these things, in terms of what bombs, what doesn't, why he makes certain things, why he doesn't, what he'd like to do, X, Y, and Z. And I always enjoy hearing like insider talk of any industry, but especially an industry that I'm interested in. And so I like that. But anyway, it's Sunday night. I'm working on this. I basically got it to quote unquote done. I added this final character here, and I've been going through and addressing notes I gave myself. And so right now, the only notes I have left is I could redraw this character. It's a little stiff. Technically it's fine, but maybe I could give it a little more pizzazz or oomph. I can maybe even just adjust things with, you know, a shape tool. I wasn't sure about the perspective and the legs on this character. That's been an ongoing problem with this. But yeah, I don't know. I may mess with it. I might leave it alone. I don't know, but that's something we're working on. I also had a question about tangents over here. And it's a toughie because there's a bunch, but he's kind of got to be overlapping, but I can't really make him bigger. And do I move everybody or just kind of leave it and trust that the colors will separate it? Although they are all Red Rangers, but there's still variations there. And then these two hands are kind of the same. I moved this one a little bit. So I sort of addressed it. Didn't touch it. Didn't touch it. So that's what's left over. Monday, I've spent most of the day not feeling well, or working on packing and like doing tons of loads of laundry in preparation to pack, which I've then worked on. I didn't do any art yet. Yesterday, I got to the point where I revised everything with the exception, well, I started revising the one figure that was sort of at a weird perspective with the feet and stuff. I'm probably going to work on that today at some point and then call that done. I know I said that yesterday, but it's like the last little thing I need to do. And then I'll probably throw it up on like one of my art groups to just be like, hey, you notice anything else big? And then that'll give it a day or two to marinate to see if there's any comment, and then I could do the inks on the plane. I'm outside. I'm supposed to be going to the post office, but I'm short on time, and I decided to get a coffee instead, so no post office. Still Monday. I did end up going to the post office, so that's good. And got back, took the kid on a hike, It's a hike that normally it's an easy hike and it's usually 20 to 30 minutes. And I was like, let's keep it on the short side because it's getting a little late and I got to make dinner. And there was a like stream that we've seen before, and there was like stone path and like a log. She's 4.5. And I'm like, I don't know. I was thinking like, oh, what if we could walk across that? But I wasn't going to do it. But then she's like, let's go across there. I'm like, yeah, let's go, kid. And it was tough. As an adult, it would have taken me about 2 minutes. It took us about 10 minutes. And it was like holding her hand and the wobbling and like neither of us fell in. And it was only like a foot of water. It would have been fine. But we made it across and there was a trail on the other side. I'm like, well, rather than go back across there, let's follow this trail and it'll take us out to the... No, that trail went forever. And it took us out to some other part of the neighborhood where we were like a 10 to 15 minute walk from our car. So that, 20-minute hike ended up being like over an hour. And we got back to the car. We got Taco Bell, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, great exercise. Had a good time. I've been doing better getting exercise in general. I need to go draw. That's what I need to do. I'm very tired, but I need to go draw. That was the point of this. Also, good kid walking on rocks.